What's up guys, welcome to Cars of Malaysia. My name is Arif and today we're going to talk about this, which is the 2025 Proton X70 or the Proton X70 MC2. It has obviously been given a facelift and this one right here is the premium X variant which costs 126,800 ringgit. Let's have a closer look at it. On first impression, I think that this facelift has made the X70 look a bit better. It has a bit more presence, especially with this big nose grille and with the dots, with the diamond dots on it. I think if you slap on a Mercedes-Benz logo right in the middle, it would actually look right at home. More things adding to the presence of the X70 are the bulges on the hood, which suggests something powerful, although it is still the same 1.5-litre TGDI setup with some tweaks. Also at the front, you will notice that these headlights are LED reflectors and these are the standard headlights across the range for the Proton X70. Other things to note at the front right here would probably be the new bumper design, which also helps with the overall more aggressive look of the car. The prominent front end of the X70 only extends to this part right here, and as for the rest of the sides, well, it still looks pretty much the same as the old X70. What's new here is the new set of 19-inch alloy wheels, which I think look a little less aggressive than the pre-facelift version. These are the 19-inch wheels for the premium X variant, and they are wrapped in a set of Continental UC6 tires. Suspension is a McPherson strut at the front and a multi-link at the back. Some useful items at the sides right here include the keyless entry for both the driver and the front passenger doors. You also get roof rails at the top right here in case you're the adventurous kind. One complaint that many of you had when the X70 facelift first debuted was the fact that the rear end was not updated as much as the front end. And I agree with you right there. The changes are here, but they are very subtle. One of it being the new rear bumper, which gets a new reflector design. It used to be of a vertical kind, now it is of a horizontal kind. I think that the X70 facelift could have at least used a new tail light cluster design. All else remains the same at the back, although you do get a new nearby auto unlock power tailgate function. There is still a twin tailpipe exhaust exit and the boot floor height still remains the same, which I think isn't super practical. Now let's have a look inside the car. One of the biggest surprises of the Proton X70 facelift was the fact that the cabin was not adopted from the Geely Boyer Pro. Instead, we get a modified version of the pre-facelift X70's dashboard, which still retains this silver-like trim right here, which I personally think looks like an expensive kitchen countertop. Now, this has been modified to integrate a black panel which gets a Songkit-inspired ambient lighting system. Now, I do think that this is very creative, but the execution of it could have been better. I think that the addition of textures would have made it feel a bit more premium. I personally like the Songkit-inspired trim in the Proton S70. I think that something like that should have been adopted inside here. Now, this silver trim has also been modified to integrate this new head unit from Proton, which is very similar to the one that you find in the S70 and the X90. So you do get the navigation system, you do get the vehicle control functions, you do get the 360 panorama view, but most importantly, this one right here, the X70, has been updated with wireless Apple CarPlay. And I'm recording this on the 9th of October, and it has been updated, I think, about 5 days ago or so to get Apple CarPlay. Android Auto, as of this date, is not in yet, but I'm told that it will be integrated inside this head unit soon. As for the rest of the things right here, well, this HVAC control is still the same one as before. This gear or control unit right here has been changed a bit, right? So the gear lever may look the same, but it now gets a different shift pattern. So you do get this new side-to-side upshift and downshift motion. The parking gear button has also been moved from the top of the gear lever to the base right here. All else, well, we get two cup holders here, a small armrest storage box right here, and this armrest also doubles as a cabin filter. As for the ergonomics in the Proton X70, well, I do quite like the seats right here. They are not too soft like the ones that you find in the BYD Atto 3. Very supportive, and they do come with power adjustment. What I think could make it better is that if it had a memory function for the driver seat at least. The steering wheel also feels good in your hands. This is a new Proton steering wheel which we have already seen in the Proton X90 and the S70. Armrest positions on the door card and the center console right here are also pretty decent, so very comfortable for long drives. Other amenities worth mentioning right here would probably be the fact that it has a USB-C port on the passenger side right there. It has a USB-A port on the driver's side right here. It does have a decently sized glove box. You do get a sunglasses holder as well in top right here, and you do get buttons to control the sunroof and the sunshade, and I think that something like this could be useful in the Proton S70, the sedan. One thing maybe that I would like to complain here is the fact that the door bins are a bit small. As for the second row of the X70 facelift, I would say that it is satisfactory. This bench right here may look like it is at an extreme angle, but once you sit on it, you will realize that it is actually supportive, right? Very supportive for your thighs, and it makes for a nice seating position right there. As for the space, well, I'm only 165 centimeters tall, and with the driver's seat adjusted to my height, space at the back right here is plenty, especially in terms of legroom. What is lacking in terms of space would be the headroom. So even at my height, my head is almost touching the ceiling right there. Comfort is decent. This cushion is not too soft, just like the ones at the front. And the backrest come with two recline angles, but even the most upright one is a very relaxing seating position. Another thing making the seating position a bit more comfortable for the second row would be the armrest. I think that the position is decent, right? You can sit really comfortably here, and it does come with two cup holders with a cover right there. Other amenities inside here include the rear aircon vents, so you get two vents for the rear passengers. You also get a USB-A port and USB-C port. Practicality for the back seats, well, you do get nets behind the front seats, but one thing I would like to complain about in the X70 for the second row would be the small door bin right there, very much like the first row. If that was small, this is even smaller. Now, I may have not addressed this yet, but you might also notice that the X70 Premium X comes with a dark headliner. Personally, I think that it makes the car feel a bit more premium, and especially when you pair it with the panoramic sunroof, it feels more worth than its price. As for the boot space of the X70, I would say that it is a bit too small given the overall size of the car and given what its competitors offer. Another downside right here is the boot floor height, which is a bit too high, which means you will have to lift your heavy items pretty high up just to load them into the car. Now, this is a result of having the space-saver spare wheel right underneath the boot floor. Now, while I do appreciate the fact that the car has a space-saver spare wheel to prevent you from getting stranded, I think that the placement could have been different to allow for a bigger cargo space. This, of course, comes with a 60-40 split too to allow for loading of long items. So what's it like to drive the Proton X70 facelift? Well, I would really love to compare it against the older Proton X70, but honestly, I haven't driven the pre-facelift model enough to give you a good gauge of how much things have been improved. Instead, you know what I can do is to compare it against the other C-segment SUVs, and in that sense, I think that the Proton X70 for under 130,000 ringgit offers a fairly premium overall experience. All right, so the main touch points of the car feel premium. The ride quality and the NVH also feel almost premium. So there's a good thing there. That's a good thing about the X70. It's that the offering of the X70 is a premium experience for a not so premium price. So there's that. All right, so I kind of like it. I have been driving this for about 5 days or so now. I haven't had the chance to do a super long road trip with it yet, but all I can say is that it feels premium. And by premium, I mean that you're not so tired, you feel comfortable, you're not so annoyed with the various sound intrusions or even vibration intrusions into the cabin. So that's a good thing. And I'm saying this from a standpoint of someone who hasn't driven the older X70. So there's that, all right? So as for the power of the X70, well, it comes now from only a 1.5 litre TGDI engine, and this makes 177 PS and 255 Newton meters of torque. It's not the most powerful C-segment SUV. I'm pretty sure the Honda CR-V with the 1.5 turbo, but with one more cylinder, is a bit more powerful. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, the X70 puts out a bit more torque. I think the Mazda CX-5 is also easily more powerful than the X70. But one strength, you could say, of the X70 in terms of the driving experience is the 7-speed DCT. So offering a dual clutch transmission in a family SUV is a bit of a Chinese thing. All right, so a lot of the Chinese SUVs offer dual clutch transmissions, so it does help the car to feel a bit more sprightly. It accelerates a bit more easily, even though it's not as powerful in terms of peak power compared to its other C-segment rivals. My personal preference for a C-segment SUV is a Subaru Forester, just because I like the low center of gravity and how it drives. But for most of us buying a C-segment SUV, I'm sure you're looking for a daily driver that you can also use for balik kampung trips, and you might be spending a lot of time in your car. So this, although it doesn't offer a super dynamic driving experience, I would say that the premium feeling on the inside and also the NVH levels is worth the money. Okay, so there's that. Handling, like I said, it's not the best. This is a bit softer, but again, why are you buying the Proton X70, right? It's a family car. It actually does the job. I think that it feels good. And I used to not care so much about how premium cars feel on the inside, but the more I spend my time in cars, because I'm always traveling for work, and sometimes I take meetings in the car, phone meetings in the car, video conference in the car. I think that a comfortable car cabin does improve your overall ownership experience. Now let's also talk about, well, I've kind of partially addressed it, but let's talk about comfort and NVH in detail. I like the seats in this car. I think they are nicely firm. All right, a lot of the Chinese SUVs would have their seats super soft, and the suspensions soft too. All right, and it can be a very wafty feeling, and sometimes it could make you feel a bit car sick. This one is not like that. The seats come with a power adjustment. If there's an improvement, I would say it could use a memory function. It also has actually seat ventilation, at least in this Premium X variant, so it adds to the overall comfort. You know how it is in Malaysia, it's hot. Having seat ventilation is a really good thing. Overall ergonomics, I think I've said this, I like the position of the armrest, feel good. Cabin, or the cockpit, generally feels tight, right? It's a cocoon-like experience, which also gives a bit of limitation right here, which is the fact that there is no wireless mobile phone charger in the X70, even in this facelift, right? So that may be a turn-off for some of you out there. Right, next, let's talk about NVH in detail. So, if I'm not mistaken, what I've learned, at least, about this car is that Proton has improved the minor things on the car to improve overall NVH. One of it being a super tiny detail, which is how the side mirror is made. It's some sort of clip or some sort of design of a certain part, which actually reduces wind noise when you're traveling at speed, so that's good. I have driven this for a bit of a high speed. I think it sounds okay, but for the sake of the video, you know what? Let's bring it up to speed a bit, just so that you could also listen to this. Okay, so I am currently driving on a pretty long stretch in Putrajaya, and currently I'm doing 90 kilometers an hour. So my microphone is placed right here on my chest. I hope you can listen to what I'm listening. So let's keep it at 90 right now, and I'm at about 1,800 RPM. This is what it sounds like. This is 80, 1,700 RPM. All right, 90. Basically, this is 90. I'll keep quiet. Have a listen. And let's bring it up to 100. That's 4,500 RPM. Accelerating. This is 100. Again, microphone is right here. I hope it gives you the same experience that I'm having right now. 1,800 RPM. 100. Let's bring it up to 110. Again, accelerating. Right, this is the sound of it accelerating. 110. A bit of wind noise, right? But the road noise is generally muffled, so I like that. And let's just bring it up a bit more to 120, 130-ish. This is what it sounds like. Okay, I hope you heard the same things that I heard, and you can make a judgment for yourself as to whether or not the NVH levels in the X70 are acceptable. The next thing I would like to address in the X70 would be the ACC or the ICC, and of course having this function is always useful. It always helps you relax a bit more in the car for long journeys. But I'd say that so far, I think that the car likes to brake pretty late. So I'm not really a fan of that. I think that sometimes it's a bit not so smooth, such that it may annoy the person behind you. The last thing I would like to address about the X70 would be its fuel consumption. And I apologize that I didn't manage to do a super long road trip with this car. I always do these kind of trips just to drive the car from a full tank to an almost empty tank and refill it back, just to give you a gauge. But I'm a bit tight on time this week with the car, so all I can tell you right now is that the average fuel consumption for the X70 that I've been driving, like normal, according to the computer at least, is 10.6 liters per 100 kilometers. This engine is not known to be the most fuel efficient one out there, but I guess that's alright. According to Proton, at least, this engine with this new tuning of the transmission has managed to improve the overall fuel efficiency by 4%. Okay, but at least what I'm seeing here, I'm getting 10.6 liters per 100 kilometers. So that's all I would like to share with you about the Proton X70 facelift. I hope you found that information useful. Personally, I think that it is a premium feeling car given the price, which is below 130,000 ringgit. So if you like this video, give it a like. You can also share it out if you want. And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel, and also remember to turn on notifications. We also make more automotive content on carsofmalaysia.com. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.